Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and today I'm going to show you 11 new cologne fragrances that you should know about. One is actually sold under one of their sub-brands, which is called Rue Broca, and it's called TRM Matrix, and this is a flanker to the original TRM, which proved to be quite a successful scent. The original one was a clone of, and still is a clone of, Bulgari's Tiger, but TRM Matrix actually smells nothing like the original TRM and like Tiger. This is sort of a clone of Nishane Hashivat, but also you can find this one smelling very similar to the original Supremacy Not Only Intense from Afnan themselves. It can also qualify as something in the same realm as Creed Aventus. It's fruity, it's sweet, has a bit of an woody feel on the dry down, feels quite mossy. This one though feels a little bit less fresh compared to Nishane Hashivat, and also slightly sweeter on the dry down, and that's where the comparisons actually are drawn between this and Supremacy Not Only Intense. It's a relatively new fragrance, not still very well known, unlike its original original fragrance, the original TRM. So far in my testing, performance has been pretty decent, about 7 hours with a moderate projection in the first hour and a half. It's a very cheap fragrance, and it also is very versatile and will get you compliments. And the second one that I've included from Afnan in today's video is actually sold out under Afnan themselves, and it's part of the Supremacy line, and it's called Collector's Edition. Now people claim that this is a clone of Creed Aventus Absolute. I cannot confirm that because I've not tried the original one, but this smells very similar again to Nishane Hashivat and to the original Creed Aventus. Has a very strong pineapple note with some citruses on the dry down. Again, smells quite similar to the original Creed Aventus, although this feels a little bit less birchy and smoky to my nose, and maybe a little bit sweeter. It's another super versatile fragrance that can be worn pretty much all year round. It has very high quality, it's a little bit more expensive, but also you get very nice presentation, quality of the scent, and you also get very good performance. I'm still testing this one out as well, but I've been getting at least 8 hours of performance out of it with good projection in the first hour and a half, and I've already picked up quite a few compliments wearing Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition. The next one comes from a new brand that's called Volare, and actually it's a sub-brand of Lattafa, and it's another clone sub-brand of Lattafa similar to Maison Alhambra, although in this case the Volare fragrances seem to have a little bit higher quality, and at least presentation and bottle wise they don't look similar to the original fragrances that they have been inspired by. This one in particular is called Reload Intense for Men, part of the Reload series, which all of them are cloning original Hugo Boss scents. This one is a clone of Hugo Boss Bottled Intense EDP, although this feels like a slightly lighter take on the original scent itself. It has the signature cinnamon and apple combination like the original fragrances have. You get some oud, some additional spices, some sweetness on the dry down. It's a nicely done fragrance that works great in cold weather, especially in cold weather, and has very decent quality and performance as well. Still testing this one out, but performance wise it's been giving me about 7 hours of performance with about an hour and a half of decent projection, and the price on this one is around about 25 to 30 euros, so it's a good option. The next one comes from the brand of Fragrance World. It's called Just Azraq. Now this is not super new, but I think it deserves a lot more attention than it currently gets. This one is a clone of Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir, but it has a heavy and interesting twist in the opening, and that twist is that this fragrance has a strong coconut note, which makes it somewhat similar to the Le Beau fragrances from Jean Paul Gaultier. And in fact the opening, I would say, is almost like a perfect 50-50 mix between Le Beau and Invictus Victory Elixir. On the dry down it gets very close to the Paco Rabanne fragrance. It smells very similar. It's a very nice scent that is super versatile, can be worn in summertime, can be worn in winter, has very decent performance, and it's a compliment getter. It's a mass pleasing type of scent, and I've been enjoying this one a lot, and I think it deserves more attention. And the next one comes from the brand of Artal Zafran, one of my recent purchases, and this turned out to be a very big surprise and very pleasant surprise. It's called Al Dirham Special Edition. There's another fragrance in this line which is called Al Dirham Limited Edition. That one is a clone of Chanel Allure Homme Sport, and this feels very different to the other one. This is a clone of parfum de Marly's Altair, and it's a good one as well. Smells very similar to Altair, although feels a little bit more spicy in the opening, slightly less intense, less sweet compared to the original, maybe a little bit more floral as well. On the dry down though, gets very similar to Altair, very close. You got the cinnamon note, you got the vanillic sweetness, the benzoin, you got the orange blossom, you got the ouds on the dry down, the ambroxan. Very, very nice fragrance, surprisingly good in fact. Performance also surprisingly good, about 7.5 to 8 hours, decent projection, and all that for a price of less than 30 euros. At least personally I paid around that mark, which makes it pretty much half the price of the other clones of Altair that I have in my collection. And one of those other clones of Altair that I have in my collection is my next suggestion. It's from the brand of Lattafa, part of the Nature series, Art of Nature series, and it's called Art of Nature 2. This one again a clone of Altair. Though this one in the opening smells closer to the original one compared to the Art Zaafaran one, but still not identical. This again has the vanillic sweetness, the cinnamon spiciness, the orange blossom, the ambroxan on the dry down, but this has a green apple note in here that gives it a bit more of a fruity sweetness in the first minutes of its life, rather than having this mostly vanillic sweetness. In the air though, smells very similar to Altair. Performance is good, projection is good, the quality is really, really nice. You get a unique looking bottle. The only problem with this fragrance that I find is that it's a little bit more expensive. Currently around here this costs around about 60 euros, which makes it one of the most expensive Lattafas at this current time that you can get, but still it's a great option. The other one, the next one from Lattafa that I've included in today's video is called Art of Nature 1, so it's the sister fragrance to this one. And this, I included this one in today's video not so much because I like it a lot, but because I want to clarify something. This has, for some reason, some folks have presented this fragrance as being a clone of Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli, and that it's not, I can tell you that much. This feels more like a clone of Hibiscus Mahajat from the very same brand. In fact, it smells like a mix between Hibiscus Mahajat and Oud Maracuja, but the emphasis is a lot stronger on the Hibiscus Mahajat side. On its own, it's not a bad fragrance. It's a very floral scent that has a strong rose note. It has a strong agar oud note. There's a hint of leather somewhere in the background, some other sweetness, maybe a hint of incense as well. It's a very long lasting scent. In fact, not super long lasting, but where this excels is the projection. This is quite a loud scent, and tends to last nicely for about 8 hours, maybe even over 8 hours, and may lean a little bit to the feminine side thanks to the strong rose note. And the last Lattafa fragrance that I've included in today's video is called His Confession. It's not super new, but still I think it deserves a little bit more attention. This is supposedly a clone of Celine's Black Tie. I've never tried the original scent, but I can tell you that this smells somewhat similar to Givenchy Gentleman EDP. Also, you can find this one smelling similar to Dior Homme Intense thanks to the fact that this has a strong iris powdery note. It feels a little bit lipsticky and powdery in the opening, but it also has some vanillic and tonka bean sweetness, a hint of leather as well somewhere in the background, some spices. That combination of the leather, the vanillic sweetness and the tonka bean and the iris, to my nose, make it similar, a little bit similar to Givenchy Gentleman EDP. Has really good quality, has interestingly packaged, comes interestingly packaged in this unique bottle design. Longevity is really good with this one. I've been getting easily 8 hours of longevity. The only problem is that it's a little bit moderate when it comes to projection. And the last three fragrances that I'm going to finish off this video with are some of the brand new releases from Armaf. The first two are part of the newest members of the Odyssey line. The first one is called Limoni, and comes in this very bright, colorful looking bottle and has the goofy design of the Odyssey line. This is a very fresh, very zesty, very bright fragrance. It feels very similar to a few original scents, mainly Louis Vuitton's Afternoon Swim and also Louis Vuitton's Imagination, although doesn't feel like a straight up clone of neither of them. It feels like a fresher, more citrusy version of both. Opens up with a very nice, very refreshing lemon note that's aided by some other citruses, maybe a hint of orange and mandarin. On the dry down, it gets a little bit sweeter, some ouds, you get some musk, but basically it's all about that citrusy freshness in the opening and throughout the life of this fragrance. Very masculine and very easy to wear summertime scent. As you would expect with something this fresh, this, at least from my initial testing, doesn't seem to have great performance, more on the moderate side, but it's okay. The second one in the second new member of the Odyssey line is called Odyssey Spectra, and this is a very interesting fragrance that I've been actually enjoying quite a lot ever since I got it about 10 days ago. This one is sort of a hybrid clone or something that's drawn heavy inspiration from Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultramol, and even more so from 9pm from Afnan. It opens up in a very similar way to Afnan's 9pm, with a combination of sweet and at the same time fresh green apple note, with vanillic sweetness, with the lavender note, with some minty freshness. The opening is very similar to 9pm, but then on the dry down this actually turns into something a little bit different. It turns darker, and on the dry down you get a strong tobacco note with this fragrance, also strong cinnamon note, and it's a very interesting dry down. Still on the dry down it sort of is similar to 9pm, but it's like a darker version of 9pm, and it's a very interesting twist. Performance seems to be great so far from my testing, 89 hours with strong projection in the first about 2 hours. Price wise both of them are around about the €25 mark. And the last Armaf fragrance that I've included in today's video is called the King Checkmate, and again you're looking at a bit of a goofy design. This one is an interesting fragrance. This is a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal for Men Absolu. It's a darker take on the Scandal DNA, let's say that. You get that very signature caramel sweetness of the original line of fragrances that here is aided by even some more sweetness, some ambery sweetness, some woods. This just lacks anything fresh in the opening, unlike the original Scandal, which had a bit of a mandarin note in the opening trying to balance out the sweetness. This lacks any freshness whatsoever. It's sweet, it's dark, it's woody, slightly spicy, and it's a very good scent from Armaf. Very similar to the original fragrance, has good, strong performance from my testing, at least 8 hours with longevity, with strong performance as well. A little bit more pricey than the other two Armafs. This one costs around about 30-35 euros, but you're getting a good quality in return and a very good clone of Scandal per Homme Absolu. And so guys, in today's video I showed you 11 new clone fragrances that you should know about. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.